breaking details. Ryan, what do you know?
Well, Lauren, this is kind of a somber scene out here. It's really a residential area. That's what kind of makes this even more scary, is just the potential threat to the community, the public out here. As you can see behind me, a little bit of yellow tape, and that's where most of the officers are working with that crime scene right now, investigating, going back and forth, trying to pick up more evidence, as you see. But really, this is a barbecue. This is a place for barbecues. This is not a place for violence. What we do know is kind of what you and Jeff alluded to a little bit earlier. One man shot, critically injured, taken to the hospital, and it's one of those things that we're trying to find out more information from the police on this scene. But it is North City Park out here in Opelousas, and as we were walking up to the scene here, just families outside wondering what is going on here, feeling unsafe tonight, and it's one of those things you just don't want to see. But we are working to get you more information. And another police presence out here in the heart of Lafayette, on Cameron specifically, a major thoroughfare that runs through the city. Obviously, rumbles of thunder, rumbles from the police department out here on the scene. Major police presence as they went inside of a building to actually apprehend a suspect that they found. Now, she did surrender peacefully, but I think these kids out here also know their things about having a good time out here in the summer heat. A lot of fun. Give me one of those. You gonna give me a high five? Oh yeah, oh yeah. All right, reporting for News 15 out of Moncus Park, I'm Ryan Hennessy.
All right,
New Iberia is looking to add 17 structures to the Louisiana Community Development Block Grant. If we zoom in a little bit here, 4 of the structures are actually located in close proximity together on Montaigne Street. And here's what it looks like from the street. As you see behind me, that building with the blue tarp on it is one that the city council approved. It's a dilapidated property that they say would be a lot better to the community if it was knocked down.
Offered a rebuttal to the audit for the first time. Brian?
Well, here's a fun fact for you, since that was an auditor's meeting. The city of Lafayette actually spends $1.7 million daily. It's a pretty big number there. But obviously the big story is the audit of Lafayette, and more or less the actual investigation into the Guillory administration. In summary, the audit identifies a potential violation of multiple state laws. I'm still trying to figure out what's going to happen next up in this whole mess, and the reason why we're wondering that is because the meeting's not over, so we have to run back inside and find out how this thing's going to conclude. Reporting for News 15, I'm Ryan Hennessy.
Sure. News 15's Ryan Hennessy joins us with the details of this ban that some say targets the LGBTQ plus community.
Well, the Louisiana bill, which has advanced out of a legislative committee, would require public libraries to implement a card system that prevents children from actually checking out sexually explicit material without parental approval. Now, the bill also allows parents to bring books they consider inappropriate to a local board for review. Now, opponents of the bill argue that this legislation is an attack on the LGBTQ plus community's existence and could result in censorship. You'll hear from one, the founder of Lafayette Citizens Against Censorship, in just a moment. Now, countering her points, supporters of Senate Bill 7 argue it aims to protect kids from inappropriate material and strengthen parental rights. One of those supporters, Republican Attorney General Jeff Landry, compares the bill to parental controls on streaming platforms and film rating systems. And Landry's office has identified 9 books as sexually explicit or inappropriate. 7 of them have LGBTQ plus storylines. Gabriel Guillory was arrested by police Wednesday for threats that he made against the Westminster Christian Academy staff. Now, those threats actually happened over the weekend on social media, but parents weren't notified about the full extent of those threats until Tuesday night. Jeff, Lauren, this is a problem that we all know about in the state of Louisiana, the much needed repairs to our infrastructure here, but actually the local problem is kind of perhaps a little bit overlooked. We have a perfect example for you this evening. We're actually out here in St. Martin Parish at the Grand Bois Bridge here in Breaux Bridge, and as you can see right here, gigantic hole on this bridge. And so within the last 24 hours, this bridge has been closed by the St. Martin Parish government for some much needed assessments, I guess you could say, from checking back in on this story tonight and watching to see if this hole maybe gets a little bit bigger. You want to tune back in for that at 6 o'clock tonight. But from St. Martin Parish, reporting for News 15, I'm Ryan Hennessy.
All right, thanks so much, Ryan.
Lafayette will be the recipient of a new $2.2 million grant, which will help the homeless, including victims suffering from domestic violence. Now, on top of that, the annual CDBG and home funds were announced. They, of course, help build homes inside of our area and with major rehab work.
We don't just parachute in and build houses and leave. We work
Now,
with
Republican Landry, who would be the top vote getter if the election were held today, gets just 29% in this poll. Now, the person that has a big smile on his face is Sean Wilson, the Democrat, the lone Democrat in this race.
Hone in and focus on our inner city schools.
Okay, and how would you specifically address the problems inside the inner city schools?
Well, within the city schools, we have to be intentional. We have to give them the resources they need. We have to prioritize.
The board is expected to conduct final interviews this coming Wednesday and then make a decision shortly thereafter. Reporting for News 15, I'm Ryan Hennessy.
That's pretty much it.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, if you stay tuned to News 15 at 7:30, we're going to have an eating competition with the Queens. It's going to be a lot of fun. And this gentleman right over here is actually going to be judging the eating competition for the Boudin. We are live at the Scott Boudin Festival. It has just been a great morning. We've actually filled our stomachs. These ladies have all filled their stomachs too. You might remember Grace won the one Boudin ball competition as she rubs off her shoulder. I'm also joined by Emily and Jillian. Guys, we're having a lot of fun this morning, yeah?
Yes.
Absolutely. Hey, so we want to tell people about what's happening this weekend. Emily, you mind talking about the musical acts that are going to be here?
Yeah, so tonight at 6 is when our music lineup starts. Kevin Knockhand's going to be taking
close all weekend.
And you know, this is the kickoff festival for festival season, really, and it's such an appropriate place to do it here in Scott. It's beautiful out here, I'm telling you, and I think Friday is just going to be a great time. 5 p.m. tonight.
Yes.
Make sure you're in Scott for the Boudin Festival. Ladies, thank you for joining us. We're going to actually hear from them one more time at the end of the show, so stick around for more News 15 today.
Welcome back. Chris Rader here for another edition of Tech Talk. Chris, thanks for coming by.
Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning. We're talking all things soccer this morning because I was, I was a former soccer player.
That's right.
And I saw this thing. It's a really kind of cool thing from MIT. This is a four-legged. Tell us a little bit about the robots nowadays.
Yeah, so this is a quadrupedal robot, which means it has 4 legs, and then a bi would be 2 legs, absolutely. But the great thing about this one is there's a camera on the front of this robot, and